And today we're here for basically for me to convince you that you should never use cup measurements or volume measurements as long as you live. They're the devil. We're also specifically focusing on the difference between volume measurements, the amount of space that something takes up, and also the weight of a scale, which is more accurate. An investment in a scale, even the cheapest scale, is better than an investment in the most expensive measuring cup. When we're here at ICE, it is the first lesson that is taught to both the culinary students and the pastry students. One of the first exercises they had to do today was take flour and scoop flour in different ways using a measuring cup and then put it on the scale to see the differences. Just doing it like that, the measurement comes out to 137. Instead of scooping, they took flour, spooned it into it, leveled it off, and then weighed that. This one right here is 123. So just the very fact that you're taking a slightly different method every time you're measuring flour gives you very different results. So to illustrate further, let's take some examples of what people measure when they're measuring a home recipe or from a recipe book. The recipe says measure 1 cup of chopped walnuts. Does that mean that you measure the walnuts after they're chopped? How finely chopped? You really don't know that, and what happens is you'll get different results every time. What if you measure your nuts and then chop them as the recipe tells you? If you take 1 cup, that comes out to 94 grams. If you've chopped your nuts before, slightly, that comes out to 120 grams. As you guys can see, there's this huge difference by just what you're using. Now, if your recipe told you measure 120 grams, no matter what, chopped or whole, you'll get 120 grams of walnuts. Sometimes a recipe will say measure 2 large eggs. The average egg, okay, is about 50 grams, and they could actually vary really wildly. So if you measure 2 eggs one time, you could come up with 95 grams. If you could measure 2 eggs another time, you could come up with 105 grams. So a simple thing as not using a scale, even for eggs, will give you a very, very varied product. Here's some dark brown sugar, and we'll just fill it up to the top. Okay. In an approximate cup. And so to start off with, we come up with a 129 grams, okay? Basic, simple cup measurement. The next one, if we do a lightly packed, just press it in gently, we level it off, okay? Let's see what the difference is here. And on this one, just lightly packed, 184 grams. That's a huge difference. Next one, tightly packed. And by the way, everyone does different things and everyone puts different pressure on this. So it's going to be different for every single person. Further packed, and we come up with 214. It's like the perfect example that every single thing you do and every single cup you use is going to give you a different product. They're 100% unreliable. If that recipe tells you 200 grams of brown sugar, that's it, you're done. It's easy, you'll never make a mistake, and your products will come out the same all of the time. These are some chocolate chip cookies that were done this morning. So these right here are according to the recipe, and these were done by weight. These are the same exact recipe, but these were done by volume measurements. These were done by cup measurements, teaspoons, tablespoons. We're going to bake this, and then we'll compare later the original, and then we'll be able to see the difference. All right, perfect. Our cookies are out of the oven, and if you take a look, this is by weight, and these two here were done by students by cup measurements. So there's a marked difference. If I was doing this by weight measurement, they will come out like this every single time without question. Working with grams or weight as compared to volume measurements, there's this tremendous difference. So if you want your product to be consistent, come out proper, save dishes, save yourself a whole bunch of time, and make people happy, using a scale is the way to go.